Yo, did y'all see that damn finale? That shit was fucking bonkers. Let's talk about this shit. Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel and click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also follow all the information I have in the description box as well as the comment section. Also like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. Now, as you can see, I'm probably at a different location than you used to see me in. I'm actually right now vacationing in Orlando with my family. Got me some Cali Rosé right here on deck. And I'm actually really pretty much enjoying myself. But I just recently saw the Have and Have-Nots. Sorry I haven't done any videos. I've been really busy with work and everything, but let's just say I finally got a chance to watch the Have and Have-Nots, and I must say I have some things to say in regards to this finale and how everything ended. But give me a second. Okay. Now, my whole thing is that I was here for some people getting killed. Because some people deserve to die on this damn show. Y'all already know. But there were a few people I felt should have been spared. And, but then again, Tyler Perry, this was a phenomenal show. It had a good run. You know, we're all happy that, you know, we got this gem. You know, it was actually my dearly departed Aunt Joyce that actually turned me and my family onto the show. And I can say I actually enjoy reviewing it. I've enjoyed having reactions to it, going off on all these characters and shit. But it was time for it to go. And so pretty much instead of giving you what I normally give you as like, you know, a review video by video, this time I'm just going to do one video just talking about the last 7 episodes and pretty much how I feel in regards to how everything went down. Now, the episode pretty much started off with Justin, aka Glenn Close, setting her sorry ass on fire and then trying to take Jeffrey with her. She pretty much burnt well done, extra crispy, as Kobe said. and pretty much was dead, dead at the scene. And then Jeffrey thinks it's a wise idea to call Pearl. And I'm like, Jeffrey, you are completely setting yourself up for some shit, because they already know about you. They already know your connection to Justin and shit. And you dragging Pearl into it is just going to make it worse. And sure enough, Pearl, with her fat neck nebby ass, decided to come up into David's house and was all kind of disrespectful, talking shit about Jeffrey in the house where this man pays her bills. I'm like, you should have punched her in her eye, David, because she was doing exactly way too fucking much. And the thing that really got me was she up in here playing like Justin's the damn victim. Like, Jeffrey did something to him to make him like that. I'm like, bitch, did you not forget that your son was up in there playing with little black boys up in school and shit? This happened way before Jeffrey. And then on top of it, he was sexually assaulting all of the black men that he was arresting. Did we forget that? And sure enough, once she finds out about his death and everything, she blames Jeffrey for it, saying that Jeffrey is the reason why he ended up the way he did. Like, no, actually, it's your fault and Tanner's fault, because Tanner bullied him and you didn't accept him for who he was. So that's what happens when you deprive somebody of who they actually are. They go out their way and they do this shit that they want to do, but it starts to become a sinister thing, and that's what happened with Justin. Justin became this sinister bitch because he was suppressing who he was and was taking it out on these random black men that he was arresting, and then he developed a fondness for Jeffrey that he wasn't gonna let go. So we had that going on. Then we got Benny. Now, I, for one, this was a death that I completely agree with, because Benny has been a dumb son of a bitch since the moment we met him, and he was just hell-bent on getting destroyed. And to tell you the truth, it was because of him that Candace became a casualty, which is why I can't stand Benny and his stupid-minded, simple, idiotic motherfucking ass. I just can't. Because here it is, he starts developing this thing with Rihanna, and we already know Rihanna already has this little thing going on with, what's his face, Sandy. And all of a sudden, when they finally go on a date with each other, like, this motherfucker didn't even want to buy, I think it was, how much the suit was. I think the suit at first, I think, was like $1,800. And he was literally, throwing the fit about the price. I'm like, dude, you got fucking millions. You just bought a house, and then on top of it, you gonna make you and Candace decide you want to stay in this damn rundown motel. I was like, yeah, Benny needs to die, because Benny is just really fucking dumb. And then on top of it, he finally goes on this date with this girl Rihanna. He's just trying to smash her for real. But you can kind of tell in their interaction that he really does like her. And while they having, while they having dinner, he's flirting with her. But then she lets him know that she just got out of this really toxic relationship. And sure enough, Sandy and his old punk ass shows up, starts talking this shit, starts belittling Rihanna, and he decides to intervene on it. Talking about some, like, dude, I'm Mitch's friend. I know your family and all this shit. Sandy don't give a shit. Like, Sandy's like, look, what the hell you doing with this black fool and all this, it's just talking all this crazy shit. And Benny decides to do the unthinkable. He cracks a bottle over Sandy's head, and they literally start fighting. Right there in the damn restaurant. Like, this dude literally made himself a target for the Malone family. And it's like, the thing that gets me about Benny is that Benny hasn't learned shit. Like, you're dealing with the mob here. And afterwards, he's just saying, I'm not worried about nothing. I know that family. And Candace is like, you do not know this family. Like, what the fuck you mean? Like, you don't know them. Like, it's just like Benny just is like a cautionary disaster. And it's like he just didn't give a shit that he was just causing all these problems, because later on he does go back to Rihanna. They ended up, having sex, and pretty much it just gets worse after that, because sooner or later he comes to find out that he actually is a daddy. It was this girl that he had this random one night stand with in a bathroom stall at a club. She ends up having a son. The baby looks just like Benny. And at first, Benny was on that dumb nigga shit with something, oh, well, you ain't gonna come after me because now I got money, because I ain't paying no child support. I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. Oh, girl immediately shut him down. She was like, I'm an attorney. I make 6 figures. I just wanted you to know that he's alive, that you have a son, and whether you want to be with him in his life or not is totally up to you. I just wanted you to know that he's here. And the little boy was just too cute, and you could tell that was Benny's kid. And I'm like, bruh, and it's just sad because he couldn't remember her, because he's such a hoe that he done fucked all these random ass women. He don't remember who they are or where they came from. But yeah, that shit was just crazy. So then, let's see what else I want to talk about. Then now I want to talk about this whole situation with Jeffrey. Jeffrey and Tanner and that whole situation with Madison, and then also the one death that one person I wish survived was Kobe. Because Kobe was hood with it. Kobe was comfortable with his sexuality, comfortable with who he was as a person, and did not give a damn. That was one person I wanted to survive. Because he's really started clowning, once he found out about Justin dying. He's like, oh, I'm sorry that bitch got burnt up. Extra crispy. I was like, oh shit. Like, it was hilarious. But then we come to find out he had a date that was supposed to get set up. Kobe thinks he's about to meet like a trick or whatever. Turns out it's a damn ambush led by Tanner and Veronica, where he literally gets jumped and he gets beat up pretty badly. And even more so that the guys that was stomping him, they literally had stilts in their shoes. And so pretty much there was a lot of internal damage that was done. So we can tell he was not going to live through this shit. But in that moment, Kobe came through. He told the truth to Veronica and to Tanner. Pretty much called Tanner a straight up bitch, because you wouldn't been able to get me by yourself, because we saw the first time he whooped Tanner's ass. And Tanner just couldn't take that shit. But then not only that, he called Tanner out, pretty much being the fact that he's probably gay too, and he probably hates himself for it. And then pretty much, called Veronica out as being a homophobic bitch, and that your son is gay, and you need to realize that, because nothing you do is going to change that. And I was like, even at his last moment, Kobe was pretty much a G. So that was one person. Kobe was one person I wanted to survive, but unfortunately he didn't. So we had that go on. Now after this whole thing with Justin dying, I just knew Tanner was gonna try to do some shit to Jeffrey, and since Jeffrey is such a dumb motherfucker, he wasn't catching on to it. Like, all of a sudden, he's, tells Jeffrey, like, at first he tries to tell Jeffrey that Justin was HIV positive. Madison does a test on Jeffrey, finds out that he's HIV negative, and even pulled up Justin's medical history and knew that he was HIV negative. So we know damn well Tanner's lying. So my whole thing is, why the fuck was you still entertaining this motherfucker when you knew he lied to you about something like that? Somebody's HIV status is not something you play with. It is not something that you lie about. So the fact that he did that was letting you know right then and there that Tanner was full of shit, and Jeffrey yet still kept entertaining Tanner and kept trying to ask him, was he gonna go to the funeral and all of that shit. I'm like, ain't nobody going to that bitch's funeral. Glenn Close got what she deserved. Glenn Close was on a road to disaster. She didn't want to get help. She didn't want to do, like, Jeffrey tried to help this child to get treatment, but that never happened. So, due to the fact that he never decided to get treatment for his mental issues, he decides to burn himself up instead because he likes playing the victim. And then we see that his mother, as well as Tanner, are still playing victims in the same fashion. So here it is, Tanner's trying to get Jeffrey to, come over and all this stuff. I got something for you that he wants to leave behind. It's something special, because he really cared about you and shit. And I'm like, Jeffrey, you are not peeping the fact that Tanner's trying to do something to you? Because it's known that Tanner's homophobic and that Tanner will go through great lengths to hurt gay people. And it's like Jeffrey's not picking up the signs. Jeffrey is just so over everything. He just doesn't care. But one thing, though, is that, Jeffrey and Madison grow closer in this whole situation. So pretty much it's like him and Tanner are entertaining the whole idea of them becoming a couple. But sadly, too little too late. So then, towards the last episode, this motherfucker, Tanner, decides to bring this box over to Jeffrey, saying it's like a personal, it's like personal things that he left there for Jeffrey. And someone was just telling me, like, you dumb motherfucker. And I'm so mad that Jeffrey's stupid ass let that fool in. And I'm like, after you was peeping the fact that Tanner was full of it, because previously he had met with Tanner. Tanner starts saying that, so tell me, what was it about Justin? What did he like sexually and all that shit? I'm like, are you not peeping the fact that he's on the DL his damn self? Because what straight man asks those kind of questions? So that was like a dead giveaway. And I think Jeffrey knew that. But then again, Jeffrey is so fucking stupid and not really peeping game. He just literally let the dude come in to bring in this box. And sure enough, soon as he leaves, he opens the damn box, and then you see Tanner outside with the damn detonator and blows up the damn house. So that whole situation could have been prevented if Jeffrey wasn't a fucking idiot. But then again, I was here for Jeffrey dying too, because Jeffrey was getting on my nerves. But before that happened, we had this whole situation with Wyatt. Wyatt done got in control of Madison at the hospital, choked him out, and then got all of these damn meds from the hospital. Oxycodone, morphine, and fentanyl, and all this shit. And this dumb son of a bitch was literally taking this medicine like it was candy. And I'm like, dude, you are about to fucking die. He goes back to the loft, the loft that Katherine's hiding Broderick in. Broderick is up in there with drugs, with bitches, and everything. Literally living off of Katherine's dime. Damn, Wyatt come up in there, take the shit over, pretty much gets Broderick to go get him more drugs and all that shit. And he's just literally still taking these drugs, and even Broderick's like, dude, you need to slow down. These drugs are lethal. They can kill you. He's like, he doesn't give a shit. And, he's just still taking all these pills and just wants to get high, because it's like, Wyatt literally had a death wish. So pretty much what he ends up doing is that later on, Hannah goes over to the place, because Katherine wants her to check things out. She goes over there. She catches Broderick in the bed with two women, pretty much sees the scene or whatever, lets Katherine know what's going on, and Katherine tells him he needs to get the hell up out of that damn house. And tell me why the hell this dumb son of a bitch had the nerve to try to get squatters' rights. I'm not leaving. I have a right to be here. I've gotten used to this lifestyle, and I'm not giving it up. I can sue the bitch and all this shit. I'm like, bruh. Like, dude, you living in that house rent-free, and then on top of it, you up in here screwing random fucking women, getting high up in her house. And you got an nerve to talk about squatters' rights? I'm like, Broderick was a piece of shit. And then later on, we see that Jim finds out that the loft is still there and that Wyatt is there. So Jim goes over there, sees Broderick, kicks Broderick's ass out. So I'm like, oh, where was all that shit talking you was doing a while ago? Oh, you want to do that shit to Jim because you know Jim will beat your ass, right? Yeah, Broderick's a bitch. So he throws Broderick's ass out and sees that there's cocaine and everything, but doesn't know where Wyatt's at. We later on find Wyatt up at David's house. He's there to see Jeffrey. He's high out of his fucking mind, and Leo, the security guard, had to rustle him down and handcuff him, you know, because David decided that he's gonna call Jim and that Jim is gonna deal with this. Jim finally comes over there and like, you know, he's trying to reason with Wyatt, but, you know, you can't reason with a junkie. He's just talking out his head and all of that. And he's like, what the hell did you take? And he's not trying to say anything. And, you know, pretty much he says that, look, I'm taking you back to the hospital. He's like, I'm not going back there. I'm not going back there, Dad. I'm like, and I just knew this was coming. I just knew that Wyatt was going to have a sad ending, because there was no indication that Wyatt wanted to get clean or that Wyatt wanted to change his life. Wyatt was dead set on being a fucking junkie and being a hot ass mess, and didn't give a damn who he hurt or didn't give a damn of any of the problems that he caused. So he was just a caution waiting to happen. So here it is. They're trying to reason with him, and then while they're trying to, you know, figure out what they're going to do with his ass, Wyatt just has a cardiac arrest. And then they find all the drugs that he was taking on him. Madison tries to revive him. The paramedics try to revive him. And we see that this broke Jim completely, because Wyatt ended up dying. But I'm like, what did you expect? Do you think he was like this drug superhero and shit, that he was just going to continue to take drugs and was going to live? No, that wasn't going to happen. So now Wyatt's dead. Now his ass got a vendetta and wants to take it out on everybody. Then you got damn Katherine down at the jail, because Jim is mad that he doesn't have power of attorney. He's calls himself, he's going to make Katherine get power of attorney by sticking this woman into her cell. And it was arranged by Jim. Come to find out, the woman actually knows Katherine. And we find out later on, because the lady just kept going back and forth with Katherine. And of course, Katherine was like, bitch, you don't know who the fuck I am. I'm Katherine Cryer. And nobody intimidates me. Just talking her normal big shit, you know, because she's the richest woman in town, not realizing that she has literally been set the fuck up and that she's not gonna come out this shit. Because later on, while they're going back and forth, the woman reveals who she is. She's actually the niece of Little Lizzie. Little Lizzie, the little girl that Wyatt killed when he was on his drug and alcohol binge. The same day he killed Lizzie, he also hit Benny, and Benny almost died. And pretty much she's like, yeah, I'm little Lizzie's niece, and yeah, you and your family tried to cover up what happened to her. And next thing you know, her and Katherine start fighting, and she puts a noose around Katherine's neck and literally kills her in the cell. So Katherine Cryer's done. So that means Hannah now owns everything. Hannah is now a rich bitch. And pretty much also when Sandy finds out about this whole thing between Benny and Rihanna, he decides to pay him a visit and decides to shoot up the house, but not thinking, but the thing is, Benny and Candace are at the hotel. Where he decided to do the shootout was at Hannah's house, because that's the last place he knows of where Benny lives. So he goes to do a shootout over there. The girl, I think her name is Tanisha, that's Benny's baby mama. They literally were there, but they literally missed the whole, nobody got hurt, not even Hannah. They finally Candace and Hannah show up. Finally Candace and Benny show up and to see Hannah. And, immediately she's thinking that it's Jim because, Candace got that money. And he was like, nah, it's me. This is my shit. And I'm like, yeah, it is your shit. And it's your shit that you're not going to get out of because you fucking with the mob. So with this whole situation going down, we also see that Candace finally gets in touch with Charles. They have a conversation, and in this conversation, she lets him know that she's 2 months pregnant with his baby. And you can definitely tell that there's still love between the both of them. And then also that he's trying to, and that Landon is still trying to set everything up. Like, Candace was literally had an escape plan. All she had to do was do this interview with this lady. She would have been scot-free, and she would have been able to continue her life as being, the future first lady, and she would have had the perfect life. But she was still hurt. The fact that he put her in the trunk of a car, she just couldn't let that go. And then on top of it, that she's pregnant with his child. But then again, Benny done got herself caught up in some shit, and she calls herself trying to get that shit straightened out, only to fail to realize that things have completely changed. So here it is. Benny gets a call from Rihanna to come meet him at the new house. We see that Rihanna gets confronted by Sandy, who roughs her up and tries to get Benny's information. And, because now Sandy's hell-bent on getting back Benny because, Benny whooped his ass in that damn restaurant and literally made a fool out of him. And also, Mitch gets a wake-up call because now Mama Rose has now retired to Florida. So now Benny is now running the whole family operation. And we know that Benny is bloodthirsty. He's racist. He's homophobic. He's all of that shit. So now the whole operation is under Benny's control, and Benny's out for blood. So all of a sudden, when everything that Mitch was trying to set up has now fallen through, Candace tries to go to get a he tries to plead, for them to spare Benny. Benny doesn't let up. And pretty much it's like nothing's gonna, you can't do anything. It's a done deal. It's going down. Sandy's gonna kill Benny, and ain't shit you can do about it. And then on top of it, because he violated the family, they took Mitch out in the back and roughed him up. And then came back and still wouldn't give him any breaks whatsoever. So finally we see that Benny finally goes to meet Rihanna at the new house that he purchased. Then all of a sudden Sandy comes out with a gun, and he was like, look, let's just talk about this like two grown men. And he was like, okay. Next you know, you got about 3 or 4 of them come up, and they literally shoot Benny down. So I'm like, but Benny, you deserve this shit because you're a fucking idiot. You should have known what the hell you was getting into, and you just didn't give a shit about nothing, because he was constantly getting into shit, and Candace was always there to bail him out. And here it is, because of this whole situation, this led Candace to go to the Iron Bone to meet with Mitch, not realizing things have changed, because they both tried to call Mitch and they weren't able to reach him, and not realizing that Mitch got sat the fuck down. So Candace goes there to talk to Mitch. She sees that Mitch is telling her, you need to leave, you need to go. She's not trying to hear any of it, because she's like, I'm here for my brother. And she's like, Mama Rose owes me a favor. Oh, Benny's like, he didn't, and like Mitch and Benny was like, he don't give a shit about that. Mama Rose is no longer in power, and that's long gone. And pretty much, we need to return you to Jim anyway, because you stole that money from Jim. So they end up roughing up Candace, literally taking her to Jim, and pretty much they roughed her up real bad, not even realizing that she's actually pregnant. They literally take her upstairs, up in Jim's up in Jim's house, and Jim literally drowns her in the bathtub. So that's another death. Then you got Miss Veronica. I'm actually going to say Veronica for last. But yeah, because Veronica got dealt with too. So here it is. After, Jim decides to kill Candace, which comes full circle because they've been at each other since the very first season. So now he done actually killed Candace and shit. Not even knowing that her brother was killed just prior to that. Then we see that Hannah finally shows up to the house. And she just has this feeling that something bad has happened. Because we saw earlier that she had a conversation with Candace that pretty much all the bad things you've done is going to catch up to you. And we see early in a few episodes prior to that, Candace has this bad dream where all the people that she had killed or had affiliations with literally came back saying that we are here to destroy you. We are here to take you down. So it was already an omen out there that Candace was gonna die because she was visited by War, Erica, Oscar, her son Quincy, and Big Quincy. And they literally were taunting her. So, but I was rooting for Candace to live, though, because I really wanted Candace to have her baby and, live out the rest of her days with Charles. But clearly, that's not the life she wanted anymore. So it was funny, she had an option, but chose to stay where she was and chose to hold on to that money. And even when she tried to give the money back to Jim didn't give a fuck anymore because Wyatt was dead. And he decides to take that shit out on Candace. So we see Hannah comes into the house, and she notices that something is eerie in the air. She goes into the bathroom with Jim, and she literally sees Candace dead in the bathtub. And, Jim is talking his shit, and Hannah snapped and starts to fuck Jim up. They literally are fighting back and forth. They go all the way down the stairs. She literally is fighting him all the way, gets into the car, and he breaks the glass. And she literally gets away, comes around, and then runs Jim's ass over. I was like, oh, shit. Shit was wild. And then you just see her break down because she don't even know that Benny's dead too. So she's lost both of her kids, but now she got Katherine's money. She's in control of that estate. So she is like millions. Like she has over, I think, about 500 million, now in her possession. So that was that. Now I'm going to talk about Veronica's ass. Now, Veronica has been doing the most. I love that scene when Hannah whooped her ass because she was up in there to find that that fake gun license, and if that gets found out, that could take Katherine down. So she was actually there at the house to find it, but she went in there normally, blowing off Hannah, calling her a slave, saying that this used to be a plantation, right? Why don't you go somewhere, little Hannah, and kind of blew her off. And literally, Hannah's telling her, you need to leave because I'm about to leave and you're not gonna be here. She blew Hannah off, starts going through Katherine's things, and next thing you know, they start fighting, and Hannah literally beat Veronica's ass. I was here for that shit. It was funny because she's like, yeah, you need to get your shit together because you just got your ass whooped down at the plantation, bitch. I was here for that. And then we see that here it is. She starts making moves. She goes to this gay club called, I think, the Limelight. And she finds this guy who, and it's the same guy who played Michaela's dad on How to Get Away with Murder. We come to find out this is Jeffrey's biological father. Him and David used to be business partners. So we see later on, she actually takes the guy to David's house to prove that he's Jeffrey's biological father. And then why the hell her ass try to go on with Mr. Brown talking about something, this is your real daddy. I was rolling. I was like, y'all wrong for that. And she's like, yeah, girl, this is your daddy. Look at him. You look just like his ass. Here, I even got the DNA results. This your daddy. This your daddy. I'm like, oh, Veronica, you an evil bitch for that. So you knew the whole damn time that David wasn't the father of Jeffrey, but yet you let this man raise a kid that wasn't his. But at the end of the day, whoever builds a bond with that child is the father. You know, any fool with a dick can make a baby. So we see that, you know, Jeffrey is kind of startled by this too when he sees this. He's like, he does look like me and I look like him. And even old boy was even saying like, look, I'm so sorry about this. You know, I did not know that this was what she was going to do. And she's like, girl, you need to shut up. I brought you here. If you want to ride home, bitch, sit down and shut up. That's what's wrong with you damn gays. Y'all don't know when to shut the fuck up and all of this shit. And I'm just, I'm cracking up at this shit. You can just look at his face. He really want to slap the shit out of Veronica because she just put him in the middle of all the drama. So yeah, so we come to find out that was Jeffrey's actual biological father. And it's true because she mentioned it seasons before that David really wasn't his dad. So we saw that go on. So then we also see that she gets a run-in with the guy that she hired, the hitman. We see that he gets a run-in with the actual hitman that Jim hired to kill Veronica. The two of them fight it out, and they decided to become partners. Like, hey, let's both just work together, and we can split the money 50-50. So, Because he's a hitman, man. This dudes ain't loyal to Veronica. So old boy, after he gets beat up or whatever from the other guy, he goes to meet Veronica to get the money. He gets real aggressive and shit. She goes and gets the money for him and all that. And they all and he literally was trying to warn her that you have enemies all over, so you need to be careful. And she's like, well, I wouldn't be Veronica Harrington if I didn't have enemies. Still being cocky as hell. Tell me why her ass, after it all went down, was about to get in her car and drive, and some hitmen the two guys gang up together and literally shoot her dead right in front of her car. I was like, yeah, that's a done deal. So yeah, there was a whole lot of. I think the only person that survived out of this entire group was well, we know Mitch lived, but Mitch got fucked up. Because at the end of the day, Mitch was playing with fire, as far as dealing with his family. But because he wasn't actually a part of the mob, he really had no pull. So he literally got Benny and Candace trapped up in the shit. But yeah, Mitch lived and Hannah lived, but everybody else died. Now, the only person I wish should have survived, I think Candace should have. I wanted Candace to live. But then again, Candace had did a lot of dirt, and finally all of her shit came back to, all of her chickens came home to roost. And that's pretty much what happened with Candace. But yeah, Hannah is now alive. Both of her kids are dead. She now got that new grandbaby. And she got all that money. So, yeah, that's pretty much what the have and have-nots, what they gave that whole season. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I can honestly say it went out really well. I wish certain things would have been different, but hey, I'm glad with what we got. So if I missed anything, get down in the comments, let me know your thoughts about it. I'm out here enjoying this Florida weather, about to get into the pool because I'm overheated, and this wine is definitely relaxing me. So I definitely want to get in the water and enjoy myself. But yeah, get down in those comments and let me know your thoughts on everything. So until next time, everybody, take care.